Censorship of financial transactions. As a member of the privileged elite of the developed world, I have the ability to open a brokerage account in 24 hours electronically. And within 24 hours, I can be trading in yen on the Tokyo stock market. I can be sending and receiving money anywhere in the world without any limits. All I have to do is sacrifice my privacy and my freedom. Because while I can do all of those things and they're very powerful, there are some things I can't do. I'm not talking about buying drugs. That's not really that interesting. What I am talking about are simple things. For example, donating to an activist organization like WikiLeaks. A few years ago, WikiLeaks was completely cut off from the world's financial system simply by extrajudicial pressure applied by the few major payment providers. Visa, MasterCard, the banking transfer system, PayPal, etc. Without any legal process, without any conviction, and perhaps, in my opinion, without absolutely any crime other than revealing the truth of crime, WikiLeaks was cut off from the world's financial system. This is now happening not just to activist organizations, it's happening to entire countries. However, the dream of nation states to create a totalitarian financial system died on January 3rd, 2009, with the invention of Bitcoin and the mining of the Genesis block. Network-centric money is censorship resistant. Bitcoin is censorship resistant. You may have heard this term. You cannot control where money is transmitted in Bitcoin. It's not attached to identities or geography. In Bitcoin, surveillance of everyone is not possible. In Bitcoin, censorship resistance is an artifact that is created by neutrality, the architecture of a flat network without borders. The architecture of neutrality that doesn't ascribe any meaning to source, destination, or value is what creates censorship resistance. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. I was just reading a little bit of The Internet of Money by Andreas Antonopoulos. He was talking about censorship resistance and why it's so important in Bitcoin. An important lesson, I think. But let's get started on Bitcoin Talk Show. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. That helps more people find the show. Today is Tuesday, August 28th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 2.1% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 7,051, a high of 7,088, and a low of 6,722. Doesn't seem to look anything like 5,000 or anything like 1,300. The price of Bitcoin in Satoshis is $1 for 14,189 Satoshis. We are now approaching the 14,000 Satoshi barrier. Seems like we're back on our way down again. Let's check out the top 10 altcoins sorted by volume, weighted against Bitcoin. Ethereum down 1.75%. Bitcoin Cash down 1.25%. EOS down 1.25%. Dash down 3%. Ripple up 0.25%. Ethereum Classic up 0.25%. Litecoin even. Tron racing ahead up 7.3%. And Qtum breaking back into the top 10 up 4.23%. Checking out the top distributed applications, they are raging forward with IDEX breaking the 2,000 user barrier for the first time since we started monitoring distributed applications a few weeks ago. Fork Delta, the other exchange, in second place, far behind with 1,100 users. Ethereum on in third with 500, FOMO 3D and CryptoKitties, both with around 400 and 300 respectively. Bancor fighting its way into the top 6, but only 364 users. However, a 20% increase since Monday. Checking out the top active blockchains, it's still EOS, Steem, and BitShares, followed by Ethereum, which is always full, and today has 54,000 unconfirmed transactions. Bitcoin is also full, but only with 15,779 unconfirmed transactions. You can support the show by donating Bitcoin at the QR codes on your screen right now, or any of the altcoin QR codes down below, or at our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/WCN and patreon.com/madbitcoins. We've also got our Tallycoin fundraiser, where we had another donation, but only one. So we're still waiting for your donations. Remember, we will hodl these donations until they are worth $1 million or until someone just drops $1 million on this address, which we're saying is totally possible. All you have to do is intend to donate 100,000, fat finger it, add in an extra zero, have that much money in your account, laugh it off as a joke, and move along. It would be funny for everyone. Let's check out yesterday's videos. We had two videos here on the World Crypto Network. Very cool. Max Hillebrand interviewed Jimmy Song, and they talked about Bitcoin carnivorism or veganism, and they got pretty deep into it. They were talking about the philosophies of why you would eat meat. Jimmy Song was kind of arguing from a biblical philosophy of mankind having dominion over the earth, therefore it's okay to eat anything. Also, I think health-wise, he's just done good with the carnivore diet. However, it could just be a fad. Jimmy used to be a vegetarian, so it's interesting to see him debate and discuss this with Max, who I think is currently a vegan or a vegetarian. So interesting show about Bitcoin and diet there. But let's check out Monday morning's Bitcoin talk show and yesterday's comments. Yesterday's comments. We got around 81 likes, 10 dislikes, leading the pack. Big dislike day. 915 views. We discussed a lot of sensational issues, including the video game shooting and thoughts about arms and weapons and the Second Amendment. It was quite a show. Roy Westbecker includes a timestamp. Way to go. Always include a timestamp. Yeah, they're saying in the chat, yep, Jimmy used to be a vegan or a vegetarian. I'm not 100% sure, but people change. They change. Now he's eating 72-ounce steaks or whatever it is. So people change a lot. But let's see what we got in the chat here. Thought about arms. Go from big to small. First outlaw nukes, then various other bombs and missiles, then the cannon type stuff, then the individual small arms. It's a long way to go, huh? And that is part of it. We do allow exceptions to the other amendments. One of the big examples with the First Amendment is that you have the right to free speech. But because of many Supreme Court cases, you don't have the right to yell fire in a crowded theater. This does infringe upon my speech rights, and it reduces my ability to yell fire at places where there is not a fire. So in this way, it definitely creeps and leads to a totalitarian world where no one is allowed to tell anyone about a fire. Obviously, we can't have any restrictions on anything. Roy also agrees with me and says that I'm 100% right about the distinction between voter fraud and election fraud. Certainly, it's possible to steal elections, to control the results, to control the tabulation machines. There's a lot of black boxes between us and the truth of democracy, but there aren't voters voting in groups, massive amounts of voters, enough to swing the actual election. It's absurd. That article yesterday said 19 in an entire state. That's absurd. So B.L. Dewyan says another great issue of the program. He imagines that some of the audience, maybe most, is getting very cross at me for expressing my views. However, I take the right approach. If everybody was to agree with everybody else, well, we wouldn't be where we are. And he doesn't agree with some of my opinions, but he enjoys the show a lot, says we're doing a great job. And he's got a quote from a movie. I saw that movie, but it was a long time ago. AJ says, I'm going to put Thomas Hunt down as a maybe on Trump. We had a great call from Charlie LeCamp. He did have a lot of great explanations for the Second Amendment. I pushed back a little bit, but not that much. Certainly, he exposed his side, and what he believes is that we need this escape valve of a violent revolution to overthrow the government. and that this is a necessary escape valve to keep us from totalitarian governments and so on and so forth. I actually think if we go back to what the founders were talking about at the time, they would have seen these militias as state militias, and they would have seen this as another case of restricting power and giving it to the states. I'm not sure that the elite founders who were upset about the whiskey tax really cared that much about having future violent revolutions. I mean, Jefferson did throw out that one quote that one time. I think it's in a letter. But other than that, I mean, I think they're trying to build a stable system. Also, the way that they designed the system to be slow. You wouldn't want a system where you could violently overthrow it because your bill didn't get passed, right? It's supposed to be a deliberative body where the Senate debates things. And over years, a consensus is formed between the various factions. But of course, they didn't even see political parties and had this dream of no parties. So as soon as that happened, everything changed in this great Republican experiment. But yeah, he says he's going to bring up Pizzagate next time. I really hope not. Uh, but he did pretty good on the Second Amendment. I would stick with that. Roy tells a story about lead and his boat, and that his boat was turned into ammo. So lead bottom boats need to be banned. Ban the boat. Christian Anthony checks in. He says, hold on just a sec. He says for him, that he believes in principles over identity politics and talking points. The yeah buts will always lead you down that slippery slope. Look how many fallacious beliefs of Peter Gunn's you have to buy into before his arguments make any sense. Reactionary, anyone? Again, Bitcoin doesn't play that game. If you want a revolution, start with a worldview that doesn't sound like an Eeyore party. And I definitely agree with him with part of this. I mean, I think that the overthrowing the government thing, while the caller and some other people see that as a win, and they're like, yeah, we do want that right to overthrow the government. I'm pretty sure most other reasonable people don't really see that as a success of the Democratic Republican government system, so on and so forth. But we can talk about more if we have to. I don't think we do. I think we can move on, but we'll see. Crypto Carbaro writes, you can't spend yourself rich and you can't vote yourself free. Michael Malice. Good quote. And Warren Fluckett says, you earned your keep today, Thomas. Good job. The elite approve. So we had a pretty fair discussion with both sides represented, and that's good for the elite, I guess. I don't know. Again, if we have a discussion about something and I allow people to speak, it's better than the other system where we have a discussion and no one gets to speak. So I think it's an improvement. But that was yesterday's comments. Let's see what happened yesterday on Twitter. We talked about the Bitcoin talk show. We had Max and Jimmy talking about steak and meat and food. Nick Scavo, who is getting very right wing in his tweets, quite frankly, pissing quite a lot of people off. He has a rare tweet actually about Bitcoin. He says, no, the identity business is like micropayments. A bunch of lemmings year after year pursuing the same failed projects and unachievable goals of the prior ones, never learning from the failures, never pursuing the alternative Bitcoin did of not requiring identity in the first place. Ooh, very strong from Nick Scavo. Ola is super excited. He's releasing more of Lightning roast beef. They've got a new version and they need testers. And then he made a Thundercats reference, which he can't be that old to know Thundercats. It had to just be a random GIF. I checked out a movie yesterday. It was pretty good. It's called The Perfect Bid. And it's all about this guy that knew everything about The Price is Right. And he's a math teacher. And the best part of the movie for me is he has this early basic program that he wrote to help him memorize the prices. And he even had the music and he had some animation. Then he shows you years later the obvious kind of visual basic version of the program. And it's so much better. And it's got animation, it's got pictures of all the items. The guy was just incredible and relentless because he figured out that The Price is Right was reusing the same items and that he could win. And it's actually a crazy story. He didn't make the exact bid. Someone else did. He yelled it out to them. He would attend tapings of the show, And sometimes, most of the time, he couldn't get on the show. So he would yell out the prices to other people and they would win. A very cool story. There's a great article right here in Wired about NotPetya, the most devastating cyber attack in history. And as the excerpt here reads, Maersk employees were running down hallways, yelling to their colleagues to turn off computers or disconnect them before the malicious software could infect them. And an incredible story about this virus that had this two-pronged attack. There was a failure in Microsoft where the virus could get in there and it could infect the system. Then the virus would take all your passwords from memory, because the passwords are apparently stored in memory, and it would use all of those credentials to try to log into other systems to infect those systems. And what was so interesting is those systems could be patched against the Microsoft vulnerability, but because they already took over some machines on the network, they start building up these lists of usernames and passwords, and they walk right in the front door and then infect all of those machines. So really an incredible cyber attack, an incredible worm, the NotPetya virus. Great story. Got to come back and read the rest of that. Weird Al Yankovic got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Very cool for Weird Al. Kind of a, it's a kind of an honor. You have to pay for it. His fans raised $40,000 to pay for the upkeep of his star, and I'm pretty sure you have to keep paying. So Trump's star was famously pickaxed out of the street. Weird Al requested in his speech that his star not be pickaxed if possible. Major news from the court on its way to the Supreme Court. The federal court struck down the North Carolina congressional map. This is about gerrymandering. They drew a map so bad that the court marked it down and has thrown it out and said that the election cannot go forward on the current district maps in North Carolina. This means that either they need to scramble and redo the district maps within the next 2 months, or it's going to be challenged at the Supreme Court. And remember, the Supreme Court is even right now with Justice Kennedy retiring. So it might be a 3-3 vote, and this might not go anywhere. I mean, this might be deadlocked. They might have to redraw the districts. I don't know. It's all happening. But remember, gerrymandering, the drawing of the lines, is the most important part of politics today. In 2010, 2008 or so, the Republicans had a plan to take over the state houses to redraw the lines. It went incredibly well. They won everything. It was a perfect victory. So when they redrew the lines, they had computers, and they had all this mapping data, they had all this Amazon data, and they redrew the lines perfectly so that the Republican districts would all be 55 to 45, and that all the Democrats would be lumped into one district, like 80 to 20. This way, the Republicans win 5 small districts, the Democrats win 1 large district, and people are represented unfairly. This is why Obama never won the House. This is why Obama never got to pass any legislation, because the gerrymander was so incredibly successful. And what they're saying here in North Carolina, according to this court, is that the gerrymander was so successful, it denied people their rights, that their vote didn't count because of the way they were grouped in these districts, that it was so egregious and so unfair. And you got to think about it, if the shoe was on the other feet, and if the Democrats had 5 districts that were 55-45, and all the Republicans were crammed in one district 80 to 20, and they got 1 representative every time, and the Democrats got 5. That's the system we have. So exciting news in the gerrymandering section. Samson Mao quotes a major financial publication in China and just published an in-depth piece on the Bitmain IPO fiasco. Massive Q2 losses, pre-IPO investors jumping ship and denying involvement. The tech team behind the S7 and S9 left, and now there's no new advancements, and their patents have been rendered invalid. Major hit on the old Bitmain. Scientists tell the UN that capitalism is dying. It's interesting. They say that climate change fueled switch away from fossil fuels means the worldwide economy will fundamentally need to change. And as you know, the current economy is based on growth. We have to keep growing. If we don't keep growing, we can't pay back the money we borrowed. If we can't pay back the money we borrowed, we can't borrow more. If we can't borrow more, we can't keep growing, so on and so forth. The problem with that is it eats up resources. if we really are going to change from fossil fuels and energy, which is relatively cheap and relatively powerful, to renewable energy, which is expensive to set up and then not that much energy, we're going to have to change the way we use energy. We're going to have to change the way we build things. And people can already feel parts of this with the Bitcoin. Bitcoin teaches you to save. Bitcoin long term is deflationary. There's less and less Bitcoin available. If you can hold on to what you have, you'll have more than others. So it teaches you to save, and it also teaches you to buy good things, things of value. And that's what our economy used to produce. If you look at something that was made in the 50s, or one of my old typewriters, or a piece of leather, something like that, something designed to last. We used to make those things. Now we make things designed to break. Everything's made out of plastic. Everything dissolves and break. That one little part breaks. And of course, you don't bother getting it repaired. You just buy a new one that's 10 times better for half the price. This kind of attitude is going to have to go away if we move from a capitalist, GDP based growth society to a conservationalist based, different kind of society. So everyone's going to freak out about that in the chat. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Grim thoughts on our perilous state. Paul Krugman is very worried about the United States. Interesting that he's wrong on Bitcoin, but interesting on this. He says that we're very close to becoming another Poland or Hungary. He's warning about the United States. He says illiberalism is on the rise across Eastern Europe, including countries like Poland and Hungary, who are still members of the EU, but democracy seems to be on the run. Interesting article from Paul Krugman. We've also got, as central banks go digital, crypto competition looms, and the race is on to build the best stablecoin, a cryptocurrency with a mechanisms aimed to reduce price volatility built right in. But that just wouldn't have any of the features of Bitcoin, the features of a true cryptocurrency. The censorship resistance would be gone. So, yeah, there it is. Basecoin, Tether, all of this. It's all going to require trust. And he sees a world of competing currencies, of course. But Bitcoin's still the best. He's just not seeing it. You can tell me more about that later. I checked out the Star Wars Last Jedi review by Plinkett. It was fantastic. Red Letter Media. They do a great piece over there. Check that out for sure. Very funny review. Makes fun of the terrible movie. And finally, we've got the news from CoinDesk. It's the price of Bitcoin above 7K. Bitcoin price pushes higher and break past resistance. And it's not Omkar Godbool, so who knows if we can trust it. Seems like a fake name, very alliterative. It's Sebastian Sinclair. Oh, I remember this guy. And the other guy has nothing, but this guy has Bitcoin, asked, wrecked, oh my God, fuel, first, and amped. So did he just make all these up? Are these real? Can you tell me in the chat, are any of these real? But his view is, of course, that the short-term trend is becoming bullish, setting the stage for a move to the prior resistance zone of $7,400. Longer-term Bitcoin setting a higher low is a bullish sign that could move the fuel towards the 200-day moving average at $7,800. Finding acceptance below the prior resistance of 6,550 would negate the short-term bullish view. So sounds bullish to me. And this is Bitcoin Talk Show, so we're taking your phone calls right here. We're going to go and open up the lines. We've got Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, or you can call us on the phone at 518-600-1949. We're checking out the chat, seeing what's going on. People are excited. His wife said this stream was a scam. It's all a scam. People are waiting for us to start on Twitter. James says that Bitcoin is going up all because of Thomas handing out flyers in Las Vegas. And that is true. I did hand out flyers in Las Vegas. We're going to do it again this Friday. If you're in town, if you want to join the Bitcoin meetup here, I thought I had it pinned to the top, but now it's forever down there. But yeah, somewhere there's a video of me handing out flyers. Very cool. Pedro says, "Hey, I have that book. I'd love to have it signed by Andreas." Yeah, me too. Mine is not signed by him, although I do have a couple of. I have like a mastering Bitcoin that he signed for me. It's very nice. But yeah, I just bought those on Amazon. I was like, well, I got to get all the Bitcoin books, so I just picked them all up. Jorge says his Blockfolio is back in the green. Very nice. James is waiting till he can get one signed by Satoshi. Might have to wait on that. Everyone in the chat saying it's past 7K. It's past 7K. Gustavo says there is no blockchain. There is only Bitcoin. That's a good one. Chaotic Crypto is reminding you to push the like button. That's right. Push the like button, push share. We have 111 live viewers, but I think we can get more. I think you can join us and you can call us, and we'll all be live together. Gustavo didn't know Jimmy was vegetarian. I think he was. He was vegetarian or a vegan back in the day. No politics today. Well, it's all depends on the caller. The first caller last time was right out of the gate. He's like, I got to talk about this Second Amendment issue. We got to lay it all out here. So there we went. But if you call us right here and you're like, I got to talk about this Schnorr signature issue. I got to talk about how great they are and how excited I am for confidential transactions and side chains and all the new technology that we've got coming on Bitcoin. Because that's what really matters is the technology, not the price. That's what Andreas says. That's why I won't go on CNBC, because CNBC is all about the price. But if you look around today, everyone's excited. Are they excited because of the technology? I don't know. I think they're excited because of the price. Gustavo says he was vegan for a single meal because he forgot to unfreeze the meat. Moon soon, crypto baboons. Meat is okay, but you got to buy quality meat, not the stuff you buy in the regular market. It's better eat veggies than bad meat. Organic veggies from the farmer's market. It's so hard to eat these days. Really, nothing you can eat. And even though Gustavo likes meat, he's not a big fan of the Bitcoin carnivore movement. He says it's pretty pathetic. Who cares what you eat after all? And I kind of agree with that. I think it's putting extra requirements on Bitcoin. We already have kind of a problem in Bitcoin where, to say it bluntly, there are no women. That's a big problem in Bitcoin. And then to have this movement where all the men are out there eating steak and refusing to eat anything else, even vegetables. I'm sure it's getting us more women, right, guys? And it's getting us more middle class, normal, run of the mill people ready to buy Bitcoin. I'm afraid it's like the guy with the bear claws saying hodl yesterday and how he had to hodl and he lives in a tree house and so on and so forth. You're not really helping. So, I mean, I don't care. You're fine to do whatever you want. And I'm not boycotting the carnivore dinners or anything. I think it's fine. You guys can eat steak if you want. But again, it's all about moderation. When you get into all this, like, I only do this and nothing else, I don't think it's going to end well. Rolando Tech says he loves cyber attacks. It's future war. It's better than bombs. I think we should start taking cyber attacks seriously. Part of the reason we're in the situation we're in is because we don't have a law that says, well, if you hack us, that counts as an attack. Right now, we're like, oh, they hacked us. It's funny. Ha ha ha. They penetrated our systems. They were on our territory and they took our stuff. How funny is that? That's an act of war, right? If we went into a country, penetrated their systems, took their stuff, and then went home like they did, and then if we, distributed their stuff, making it less valuable, so on and so forth, we would understand clearly it's an act of war. But because it's cyberspace right now, we haven't refined our language, and we haven't had a proper cyberspace war, so we can't have a proper cyberspace peace. So we don't have any, real peace treaties in cyberspace. This is going to keep happening. So. The Pharaoh says, good morning, Bitcoin. He's ready. Obama didn't pass anything because he's a clown. No, he never had the house. You can't pass anything unless you have both houses, as Trump is going to learn soon when he loses the House. Dun dun dun. Spoiler. Call them clowns. Crazy fanatic. The Federal Reserve is a scam. This guy thinks it's a short squeeze and a dead cat bounce. He doesn't think 7K Bitcoin is going to last very long. He sees it crumbling quickly. So Hourglass warning us that this might not be the moon. This might be another false moon. So we'll have to see. At least he's on one side there. He's saying it one side. So we could try capitalism without the Fed. Then we wouldn't need to borrow to pay off more debt constantly. I agree with that. But how are we going to get them to agree with that? What if the dead cat bounces in the bull trap? Will the bear notice it? There's starting to be a lot of animals around here. We're going to need an animal wrangler. And haha, I never thought I'd hear an interesting article from Krugman. But you see, that's the thing. You've got to stick in there. You can't just say, I'm giving up on this guy everything forever because I don't agree with him on this one thing. He can still be good on other points. He had some interesting points. I mean, I don't want to labor it with our audience here if they, believe everything is fine, but everything doesn't seem to be fine in some of those countries, and it could happen here. So Krugman putting down a little warning flag there. The Last Jedi is proved to be good? No. What? Let's see. The Last Jedi is believed to be good because Episode 7 was a catastrophic Chinese cheap copy. Yeah, I don't believe either of them were good. There are only 3 Star Wars movies, 4, 5, and 6. That's all there ever was. They were never remastered, and that's it. So if you don't know what OMG is, you shouldn't do this show. Oh, he's throwing down. It's Ome Se Go. Well, I've heard of Ome Se Go, but still, OMG. Let's do a quick Google search. Okay, so it's a song, it's a management group, and it refers to oh my God, a common abbreviation. So bad choice. Bad choice. Not even on the list. Not even on the list. So no currency, no crypto. So choose a better name. Uh, OMG, not a good name. So AR Forreston agrees he's never heard of any of those altcoins and that Tim should get out. OMG is good. It's a big company in Asia. And they're all agreeing, it's OMC Go. Yeah, I've heard of OMC Go, but again, terrible things. Romero flew to Vegas and pumped the alt when he landed. I'm sure that's why we went up. That's that one person. They need me to sell a little bit to keep the uptrend alive. That is right. If I would take some profits, it would immediately stop going up. Or no, if I take profits, it keeps going up. So, yeah. Hand out the flyers before the sun goes down. That's a good idea. I like that plan. It's tough to do it. I want people to come after work or whatever to contribute. So it's right in that in between time. But yeah, it works better. They needed it to happen yesterday. Don't be a carnaphobe. Women like steak. Yeah, you see all those women sitting around eating only steak, which again, there's that old Dennis Leary routine where Dennis Leary is like, I'm going to have my own restaurant and it's going to be for men. And we're going to sit around and we're going to eat steak and we're going to listen to the Rolling Stones and we're going to talk about the Red Sox and we're going to bang on drums and we're going to sit in a drum circle. Ah, ah, ah. Oh, it was a good bit in its day, but it's aged terribly along with the rest of Dennis Leary's comedy. He seems to be more of a spokesperson now for car commercials. But back in the day, he used to be all about, interesting comedy. So people say, when treehouse? Yes, we all need to have a treehouse. Anthony says, women are wicked smart. They'll enter at 500K. And it does seem like quite a disappointment, quite a bummer that we can't enrich both of the sexes. And I know there are women that are out there that are into Bitcoin. Here's a guy who says, his wife mines Ethereum and has her own Coinbase account. So very good. There are, several women in here. But if you look at the stats for the show, and I do sometimes, I want to say it's like 95 to 5 or maybe even 99 to 1. And those are just YouTube stats and they don't really mean what they really mean. But still, um, Oh, it's just a Bitcoin subculture. Quit trying to control everyone, said the person trying to control my speech, saying, "Oh, you can't criticize Bitcoin carnivore." No, Bitcoin carnivore isn't telling anyone they have to become carnivore. They're just having meals where they all eat meat together and everyone eats meat. You don't have to join. Oh, well, what if you went to that and ate salad? Like, it would be a big scene, wouldn't it? It would be a big thing. Yeah, it would. No, come on. This is another mistake. This is like, the Bitcoin people just get around and, you know, they pee into the skull of Geronimo. It's perfectly normal. All the women could participate. They just don't have the right equipment. They could get a pee funnel or something. Come on. It's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. IBLB says he eats tacos all day and he loves meat and he lists everything they have at a Mexican restaurant. He's got it all: lengua, cabeza, pastor, carnitas, asada. It's all there. Uh, Johnny the Medicine Man says he's a Bitcoin burnout. It's all his world. And steak of cows grown in Clenbuthero. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's like a Kobe beef. You have to get special cow, special cow. There we go. Rad Vladdy welcomes anyone to own Bitcoin with him. Very good. Did you forget about 2008 to 2010? And other people say it's going up to 11K, then down to 2.5K. I love these, like, it goes up and down. It goes down and up. They say, uh-oh, vegans have higher testosterone. Held both houses. Oh, no, I remember the first 2 years of the Obama administration. He did hold both houses, and he didn't get anything done, and I was critical of the in the time period. I was not a fan when he was elected, all these things. I called out the Iraq war as BS before we even went in, so let's talk about that crypto exchange in North Korea. North Korea to the moon? I don't know about that. I don't think they have kind of computers or freedom or anything in North Korea. I wouldn't look at that one. Let's see. The Fed is involved in half of every transaction is central controlled. It's not free market capitalism. It's financial authoritarian rule. They're rejecting the definition of capitalism as provided by Forbes. They say GBTC is also verifying this is only a dead cat bounce. People think that Bitcoin is going to crash out with Silicon Valley, California, and that the FANG stocks are about to get crushed. So there's Joe going the other way. People say, "Oh, brother, it's on the list." They say more things about the GBTC. They're having trouble, and that the tech stocks are starting a mini crash. So it doesn't look good, and the tech stocks could take down the price of Bitcoin. Last time that the tech stocks started to crash, everyone kind of sold everything. They're like, "I'm getting out of this. I'm getting out of that. I'm getting out of Bitcoin. I'm getting out of everything." So uh, speaking of carnivore dinners, do not make the mistake of inviting John McAfee to a carnivore meetup. Say goodbye to your sausage crypto bearded dudes if you're dumb enough to invite McAfee. All right. Interesting joke. People say women like cocaine. All right. Maybe they do. I don't know. He says it's a sausage fest. It really is kind of a sausage fest in here. You don't want to do one of those ASL things we used to do back in the day: age, sex, location. It would be like M, M, M. Generally, M's in their 30s is the audience these days. So this guy, 100x margin long the pump. He is doing good, taking the big risk. Balls deep, as they say. Balls deep. Rad Vladdy thinks that Bitcoin carnivores would be excited and supportive of Bitcoin vegans meeting together. That sounds good. I hope so. I don't know, though. Um, have you considered most women aren't interested in Bitcoin? Well, I think they should be interested, though. I don't want to have why have a world where all the men are rich and none of the women have any money? That's not going to work out. Uh, be better off. When Richard Hart rolls out the traveling crypto bikini team, he was solely responsible for this dead cat with his Bitcoin and his 2 bikini vixen videos posted at YouTube. So why worry about women in crypto? They'll come when they want. We can't legislate it. I agree with that, but we can mention it and we can think of a plan and we could carry out the plan and we could slightly improve it, right? Or we could not mention it, not do anything, not have a plan and not slightly improve it, right? So we could do something or we could do nothing. So, and at this point, having a discussion about it is still kind of something. So, this guy's evangelized Bitcoin to all the females in his life. They're interested about 5% relative to men they've spoken to. It's an interesting observation. I agree with that. There may be just something in general that females don't like to take risks, right? There's a biologically there might be that kind of idea that you want to protect your nest, you want to be more risk averse with your choices, and certainly Bitcoin is pretty risky, right? A lot of people have made a lot of money, and a lot of people have lost a lot of money, and it is an inherently risky market. There it is, ATL and Cap saying the same thing I'm saying. He's like, yeah, women don't like risk. They're genetically predisposed to security and stability. So fair enough. I would agree with that. And James even says the smartest women are already into Bitcoin. So there it is. Maybe we can have a little idiocracy in reverse here. Something like that. You collect the coin, they collect the Lambo. Not a good, not a great plan. You want the one that likes you before you have the Lambo. That's the one you want. But you can give us a call now on Bitcoin Talk Show at Skype World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. Got to drink water. Talk too much. What does HODL mean? It definitely doesn't mean hold on for dear life. That's definitely not what it means. It just means hold. That's all it is. It's not that fancy. People are all into it has to mean this and it has to mean that. But no, it just means hold. It's not a big deal. But we've got 138 live viewers all reaching for their phones. They're all like, I want to be the first to call. I want to be the first. No, I want to be the first to call. This guy in the chat says, hodl is another way of spelling yodel. And it's a singing sound. You should be practicing your hodling and your yodeling together. Check it out. We've had calls from all over the United States here. Very cool. And a couple of calls from Africa, South Africa, Ghana, a couple of calls from Europe, not so much lately. I don't think it's a great time for Europe here in the morning. Maybe we'd get more European calls later in the evening. Looks like we had one call from Thailand, pretty cool, and a call from the Philippines, not bad at all. And of course, Australia and New Zealand. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. No calls from Antarctica yet, but I did have a friend who worked down there for a while. It was pretty exciting. He was a physicist, and he worked on keeping the computers running and doing experiments and that kind of thing. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Is this Thomas Hunt?
This is.
The man with the magnificent voice?
Some say that. Others say it's annoying.
It's not annoying, man. It's amazing, and you should be reading the Bible and selling it online or on Bible apps to people because people listen to that all day long.
It's the voice of truth.
Anyways, man, I live in Vegas, and I want to come see you this Friday. Can I take you out to eat?
Yeah, man, we'll be around for the Bitcoin meetup on Thursday, and we'll be around for the giving out flyers on Friday. We're always around.
Where is the Bitcoin meetup on Thursday?
All right, this one's going to be at Aces and Ales, which is in Summerlin. It's out here in the suburbs. And you can sign up at bitcoinlasvegas.org. And that's just a basic website. We've got a link to the meetup. And the meetup is called Bitcoin Las Vegas, which can be confusing because there's a Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup. But unfortunately, the Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup seems to have a lot of meetings about Bitcoin Cash. And I don't really think that's Bitcoin. So I just started my own meetup. So.
And I hate when those people call it Bitcoin Cat. They call it Bitcoin and they call Bitcoin Bitcoin Core. What a joke.
Yeah. And they're like, we're going to have a special meetup on how to store your Bitcoin Cash in your Trezor wallet. And I was like, oh, you're just going to lose a lot of money for a lot of people. That's too bad. So, oh well.
Uninterested, man. I want to meet you on Friday if that's possible, and I'll come hang out with you, pass out flyers, and I'd love to take you out to eat, man. Would that be
Sure,
cool?
man. Yeah, we could use your help handing out the flyers, and we'll be around Friday. Be good times. We'll hang out.
All right, man. I want to get to know you. I want to talk to you more. We live in the same city, so
Sure, man.
we can talk and chat.
What's your name again?
I'm Charlie.
All right, Charlie. Cool. Well, I'll see you on Friday, or I'll see you on Thursday. Just sign up on the Bitcoin on the meetup page.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much. Give us a call anytime. And the people in the chat say they're referring me to Bible now, and it's the Bible voice. And it was interesting. I was reading again in The Handmaid's Tale about a kind of a biblical society and a religious society, no doubt. And they were talking about how that the sisters weren't allowed to read the word, so they had to listen to a tape. And of course, the voice on the tape was a man's voice, because women weren't allowed to read, and they weren't even allowed to read it in the tape, and they weren't even allowed to hear it in a woman's voice. So it was interesting how quickly things could go. And remember, the main thing that I keep taking away from The Handmaid's Tale, I don't know much about the world that it's in yet, is that freedoms that you have can be taken away, and that things can change overnight. And this girl keeps talking about her old life, and she keeps remembering her boyfriend and her child, and just in general her freedom. So they don't like The Handmaid's Tale in the chat, though. Handmaid's Tale is man-hating drivel. Well, I haven't gotten I don't know that I've gotten too much into a man-hating section of it. Obviously, someone's at fault for the crazy biblical society that they're living in. Something's gone wrong. And there also seems to be kind of a infertility issue dancing around in the background of the book, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. So we'll have to see how that goes. And you could also check out The Handmaid's Tale. It's a TV show on Showtime or Hulu or something like that. So it's very popular these days. It's the popular book to read. But you can give us a call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518 600 1949. You don't have to live in Las Vegas to call, but it helps. Also, I want to add the last caller to the map because we haven't had anyone call in from Las Vegas yet, and I want to celebrate it. This means something to me. I live here. It's a cool place. I'm hanging here. So, Las Vegas, Charlie, good stuff, man. But yeah, what do I like to do in Las Vegas? I like the pinball. That's what I'm about, man. I've been slowly playing one row at a time, pretty much until I've played all the pinball at the Pinball Hall of Fame. And it's this great place in down by the airport. And they have over 150 pinball machines. You don't have to pay to get in. You just pay to play the pinball or the video game. It's super fun. Unlike the slot machines, I feel like I have a chance. Like, if I'm good at pinball, then I last longer. If I'm bad at pinball, then I die. For me, this is just so much better than the slot machines, where you can't be good at slot machines, right? I've watched the slot machine tournaments. These people just pound the button like pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're better at this. And yeah, the other old lady pounded the button faster than you. Maybe she wasn't taking her finger off it so much, but that's it. That's a slot tournament. The lady that pounded the button more won. So I'd rather play a game of skill, right? And what I like best about pinball is that I'm terrible at it, and that I'm getting better. And that a long time ago I was really, really bad at pinball, and I would just die. So now that I can get a couple of shots in, I'm pleased. It's way more fun. So definitely check it out. Game of Skill Pinball, and it's coming back. It's like records. It's becoming popular again. So. Say, let's see. Thomas is the Bitcoin shepherd and speaks to those who hear. There we go. And they want more Bible stories. If there would be a Bitcoin hymn, which would it be? Oh, Battle Hymn of the Republic, of course. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Uh, but Even Charlie from the Second Amendment agrees with me in the chat. He says pinball is an important life skill, and I would agree with that because the reason for me is even when you get good. And I have a friend of mine; he's good at pinball. He can go for a long time, and even when you're good, the ball still sometimes comes straight down the middle, and you can't stop it, and you push it, and you can't stop it, and your flippers can't stop it, and you lose. And no matter how have like a streak where you're going for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you're just like hitting everything. And then it hits the wrong thing and it goes the wrong way and you lose. And that's why pinball is important, I think. You can build up that skill. People are watching the price of Bitcoin. They want to see 8,000. I don't know. It looks like a little retrenchment, what's it called? Retracement, I guess. Retracement or we reached the top and had to stop. But it could just be charging up, getting that fuel going for another run. So people are talking about the odds in the casino. I did watch a really good video on YouTube about the odds. Remember, everything is still true. You can learn everything on YouTube. No one is stopping you. It's amazing. Don't restrict yourself. Don't limit yourself. Learn on YouTube. But yeah, if you play blackjack right, the odds are going to be pretty good. I got a cool program on my phone that's all about how to train in blackjack and how things like if the dealer has a 4 and you have an 8 and a 10, you're in a good position because you have 18 and they're going to have 14 and they're going to have to hit and they might bust, so on and so forth. But a lot of it seems to be just waiting and waiting for the dealer to bust. But there's a whole strategy to it. You have to learn all that stuff. On the other hand, they told me that Baccarat, all you have to do is bet dealer or player. You don't even have to know. So I saw that digital Baccarat machine yesterday. I almost played it. It was a mixture of digital. So they still had a person flipping over the cards. Presumably the people don't trust digital machine fully yet. So they had a person flipping over the cards and then all the people were betting on digital machines. So they didn't have to have the board and the dealer and all these people watching everyone's bets. The bets could be verified electronically. It was pretty cool. They also have those craps machines and roulette machines where you can play on the computer. And they have blackjack machines like that as well. So slowly and slowly, they're getting rid of all the workers here at the casinos. It's very creepy. I'd be very bummed out if I was a casino employee and needed to deal blackjack for the next 10 years. It doesn't look good. They even had a version I saw recently. That game where you spin the wheel, not roulette, but even worse, the one where you just spin the wheel and I think you only get to pick numbers. I'm not even sure you can pick even or odd or red or black. They have a digital version of that game now too. So you can all sit at the chairs and the big wheel will spin and it doesn't have a girl next to it anymore. So you know what that means? One less job for the casino, one less employee. So. And Dave's got the inside scoop on the blackjack. He says the El Cortez has the only single deck blackjack table left in Vegas. The other thing about the El Cortez is that they have those 3-2 odds. One of the big things in blackjack is you get paid 3-2 when you get a blackjack. In most of the casinos, though, down on the strip, they've changed that to 6-5 odds, which just isn't as good. So they say Russian roulette is the best game. I've never heard from anyone who lost. And we never seem to hear from people that lose money in crypto. Everyone makes money. Everyone retires and gets a tree house, I guess. So spin the wheel at a crypto meetup, maybe. Definitely not spin the bottle, though, unless you want a mouthful of beard. And Voltaire says we can eliminate bad customer service with robotics. But we're also going to eliminate all customer service in general. And they're already saying this might be a problem for Las Vegas. Las Vegas has all these extra fees that they tap on. Like you get a hotel room and you're like, wow, $40 a night. This is cheap. Then they say, well, there's a resort fee of $30 a night. And you're like, what the heck is that? And it turns out they've started charging people now for everything. And they charge you for parking and they charge you for resort fees. And just everything that used to be free isn't free anymore. and it might actually be hurting the tourism here. Less people might be coming to Las Vegas because of all these fees, and they're just breaking the thing. Also, a lot of people can just go gamble now at an Indian casino. I know they had Indian casinos near me, and they had cards and blackjack and a lot of these other games. And it's not as flashy or nice as Vegas, but if it all that matters to you is the gambling, you just go to a local casino. So interesting stuff in Vegas. A lot of stuff going on here. But we're going to try to keep the call lines open just a little bit longer. We opened up a little early this morning, but there we go. There's another call. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, Thomas. Christian from Morro Bay. Once again, how are you?
Doing good. How's it going, Christian?
It's good. Since you're my self-appointed Bitcoin sponsor, I'm just bookending with you some actions I'm going to take. I'm going to get Meetup going once again and borrow your description of the Meetup from your Meetup and transpose that over to mymeetup.com account. And I was talking with one young lady yesterday. She's a college student and she knows about Bitcoin. There's a professor from the same institution that she knows about Bitcoin. People know about Bitcoin, but like you say, yes, they are afraid to take risks and stuff like that. And hopefully, I could get out the word a little bit and maybe get them to dip their toe in the shallow end of the pool and venture a little bit into that, maybe as a savings tool, which is a good strategy.
And remember, it's not a bad thing that they're risk averse and that they're afraid of this, because remember the old fear was always looking stupid. I don't want to do that on the computer because I'll look stupid. And then the other fear is that I'll destroy all my data and that I'll lose everything and that I'll destroy, my friends' data and my girlfriends and everyone else that uses this computer, that I'll break it, right? That I'll break the whole thing. Now you tell them that you're going to put money on their computer, you're going to put money on their phone, and maybe their phone's already one of those with all the broken glass on it and it's been dropped several times. And you're like, now you're going to put money on here. And they should be worried. They should be worried.
Yeah. But again, that comes back to the, with personal freedom comes responsibility. And like I said before, I'm still learning about Bitcoin hygiene, and those are topics that I would like to discuss at a meetup and see how people are using their treasures and their open dimes. And also just want to give a shout out for Crazy Rich Asians. Pretty cool opening scene where the female lead beats this guy. She gets his hand in poker and applies game theory. So that's probably in the novel as well, but a pretty good movie. And
Nice.
also great debate yesterday, I think you had with the fellow talking about the Second Amendment. Whether you agree with him or not, as a person, it does. It does open the debate, and we need to actually, not be casual about our understanding of the Constitution and actually get in there and do some digging and read about it and see what it actually means in the context of when it was written. I heard that from Tom Hartman, who hosts the show for years, that it was a provision for slave owners to go retrieve their slaves that had run away. That may or may not be true, but it does have like a historical part of the debate there. So with all amendments, I think they're reinterpreted and put to the test with the Supreme Court as things move along and as technology enriches. And so anyway, just a shout out for your open-mindedness and allowing other people to share their opinions about all things. So have a great day, Thomas. Just want to check in real quick and have a great Bitcoin day, guys and gals.
All right. Thanks so much, Christian, for the call. And it's always good to remember Tom Hartman, a great commentator. I used to watch his show for a long time, and I very much enjoyed his book about the Supreme Court. He talked about the decision that made corporations into people. And as Tom Hartman notes, I think the book is called unequal protection, something like that. But it's a great book, very dynamite. And he talks about in the head notes of the decision, so not in the actual decision, but in the note section above the decision, the clerk who happened to work for all of the railroad companies and the banks and the people that wanted this law pushed through, put in there that, of course, corporations are persons. And from that point on, that decision, which isn't part of the decision, has been wrongly cited to create the legal fiction that corporations are people. This legal fiction has expanded over the years, most recently with the corporations seeking freedom of speech rights. So it is getting worse, and that our system did start out better than it is right now. It's gotten worse. So it's unfortunate, but we are still taking your calls at 518-600-1949 or at Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. As Christian said, we did have a good discussion yesterday about the Second Amendment. People supported it. People didn't support it. People think it's about insane asylums and madhouses. Other people think it's about the media. Maybe it's about the medicine. Maybe it's about the video games and the stress. I don't know. If it's too real for you to play Madden and to lose, imagine until it's too real for you to play virtual reality. You can hardly even tell what you're doing. Then, of course, think about a great movie like Existenz. Have you seen that? It's existence without the extra words, but Existenz, David Cronenberg picture, and yeah, it's like a Philip K. Dick movie, or Inception, if you want a more modern reference. But if you want something that's the same movie, but before that, check out Existenz. And it's all about, are you in the video game? Did you come out of the video game? Are you inside of the video game, inside of a video game, inside of a video game? And I'm starting to wonder that myself with Westworld. Quite a lot of stuff is happening as I make my way through the series. I'm the last person to read The Handmaid's Tale. I'm the last person to watch Westworld. I'm finishing up a lot of unfinished business. Soon I'll be the last person to watch the 3rd season of Black Mirror. So I got a lot of great stuff looking ahead for me. So we're checking out the chat, seeing what you guys are talking about. Yeah, they're talking about Existence. More Than Me has seen it. That's great. I love it when that happens. He says that movie's awesome. Voltaire says it's a great film, way ahead of its time, and I really think so. It was a good movie, and David Cronenberg's done a lot of good movies. He did that Naked Lunch version, very good Naked Lunch. So check that out. Haven't seen Westworld at all yet. Well, I did see. Of course, I saw the movie from the 70s, and then there was a sequel which I haven't seen yet. But the new HBO show. I don't know. Sometimes I think I don't like it because it's so dark and it's thoughtful and everything, and it's a little slow. Other times, though, I just can't get enough. So very much enjoying the 2nd season. You should check it out. It's on HBO Demand or whatever. You can go back and watch the old episodes. And I tried to watch Last Man on Earth again recently. I still can't get into it. I think the best part of that show is the first 15 minutes, and it goes straight downhill from there. But we're going to try to keep this show going for maybe another 10 minutes or so. Do a nice short one today. Let everyone go back to celebrating that the price went up a little bit. Although the bears in the chat say it's going right back down, and that this is only a sign that it's going up and nowhere, down and nowhere. Cold Crypto agrees with me. He says, same for me about Westworld. And I really feel that. Maybe it's something about... it's just so haunting. I don't know. It's just everything in the movie feels kind of haunting, right? You've got Evan Rachel Wood, and she's so beautiful, but she's so haunted. And Thandie Newton is such an interesting character, and she's so powerful, but she's so haunted. And the little cowboy buddy Teddy, he's great, but he's haunted. And yeah, it's a lot of people looking at the screen feeling confused in Westworld, but that's it's delivering a great plot, and it's an interesting story. It's better than the movies, but the movies are fun too. They're a little more simple. Angry cowboys go crazy, take over the park. Robots go rebel. And if you're saying to yourself, "Wow, the plot of that Westworld, that reminds me a lot of Jurassic Park," and it's because the same guy wrote them. Michael Crichton since deceased, wrote Westworld and Jurassic Park. So he seems to still be delighting our world with his stories about the future run amok, about science that's out of control. I've read several of the Crichton books, Jurassic Park, of course, Terminal Man, Sphere, The Great Train Robbery. Yeah, he wrote a period piece about a train robbery. I wouldn't be surprised if it has Anthony Hopkins as well. It might, and then he's in Westworld. I don't know. That's a stretch, but that might be true. But yeah, Crichton, good stuff. Science is out of control. We Sphere, we create, or that was just a space alien. Congo, another Crichton one. God, I read all these books. So, yeah, in the 90s, Tom Clancy, Michael Crichton. These are the books you had to read. So, I read Jurassic Park 2. Crichton's got an autobiography called Travels. That sounds interesting. Crichton's a bit of an interesting character politically as well. I know how you guys like it when we go political, but he was kind of a right-wing Republican, and he didn't believe in global warming. He wrote several books. I want to say Airframe or Endgame or Temperature Zone, something like that. But he wrote several books where he's like, yeah, global warming is not real, blah, 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 and scientific conspiracy and all that. But he's another one like Tom Clancy that's since passed away. And it's strange to see their books continue to be made. I know I went to the bookstore not long ago and I saw a new Tom Clancy book. I said, how is that possible? He's been dead for years. And they're just stamping his name on things like a badge of honor, like the old Hardy Boys books. They were always still written by the original people, except for all these new people and the ghost writers and so on and so forth, that they're still Blondie comics. Blondie, originally, I think he was volunteering for World War I, maybe World War II. I think Blondie was a World War II comic or after World War II. It's very old, but interesting. Joe Justice is still all about it with the Bitcoin calls. He is making it down. He's posting the call. So there it is with the chart, throwing it down. Father Mayhem says that he also dislikes how Westworld seems to insist that humans are flawed and towards to skew towards self-serving evil every time. And I agree, there are good things in human too. And sometimes we see that. Sometimes the robots copy what the humans do in a way, like the one robot who's all about saving her daughter. That's a very human emotion. They keep showing that. And the robots don't seem to recognize that they got that from humans. They're more like, we, the robots, have the good emotions. The humans have the bad emotions. And I've also, what I like about Westworld sometimes is that they let me decide what the plot might be. Like right now, I'm in a unique place where I don't know what the plot is, so I can make up my own plot. And in my mind, maybe this whole thing has just been setting people up for blackmail, and they're trying to capture their DNA and all kinds of stuff. But there might even be some overarching evil plan on top of that evil plan. And it is pretty great the way they layered it out. In the first season, I don't think you'd see it all the second level beyond this. And in the second season, they're doing a really good job bringing in the second level of the evil corporation. And we don't know what's happening yet. So hopefully they're going to tell us at the end, but probably not. Another cliffhanger and on to season 3. So people are recommending Colossus, the Forbin Project. I've definitely heard of it, but I just don't know what it is. So let's see. People have closed vids for updates. Okay. All right. I don't know, whatever. But Colossus, the Forbin Project from the 70s. You really need to drink some water here. Sorry. So you got to pour the water, then you got to drink the water. Oh, nice. It's like a Skynet type situation. An advanced American defense system named Colossus becoming sentient. Dun, dun, dun. That does sound really good. I'm going to have to check that out. All about that. So let's see. Lore, the evil version of Data, was overtaken by emotions. That's right. It was with Lore. Remember, it was always about the ego and the power. And Lore was another one who failed the Dunning-Kruger test, right? Lore was always like, I am Lore. I must be the smartest. But he forgot that there was Data now. and that Lore needed to check himself in front of Data and be careful that Data didn't ruin his plans. Additionally, Picard and crew were pretty clever too, and they would work together and amplify their intelligence. And that's one of the things I really liked this morning in the Star Wars review, is that they talked about Star Wars and how they do things. And in the new Star Wars movies, the plans were a secret, and they couldn't tell Poe the plans. So because they couldn't tell Top Gun, Poe, they couldn't tell him the plans. He had to go off and do his own mission and do all this stuff and run his own plan, right? Because he couldn't wait for them because they wouldn't tell him. And the guys at Red Letter Media, they rightly compared this to Star Trek The Next Generation. They're like, well, what would Picard have done? And then they showed it, and they're like, Picard would have went around the room, asked everyone their opinion. Everyone would have given their opinion from their unique perspective. Picard would have synergized these all together and come up with a plan to do it. Even then, his lieutenants, like Barclay, could still say, I don't believe this. We shouldn't do it. It's a bad plan. You're going to blow us all up. And Picard would stop what he's doing and listen to that person. So just a completely different leadership style in Star Trek versus the new crazy Star Wars movie, which I'm not a fan of. So mainly for plot reasons. A lot of people have political reasons to dislike the new movies. And I agree, they probably shouldn't have added that political stuff in there either. And they shouldn't have made it so stupid. Point after point, the movie just goes beyond the line into stupid. One of the stupidest things is the idea that you could light space through a ship and destroy it, which would mean no one would make a giant ship because all of the smaller ships are now capable of light spacing through that giant strip and destroying it. So why would you ever make a ship that's really big in the Star Wars universe? Makes no sense. And let's see what's going on in the chat. Charlie doesn't like Picard. Come on. Sounds like an efficient leader to me. Sounds like somebody that's going to get the right decision and also be able to take in all that different information from his lieutenants. But it's looking like a slow day in the chat. All right. See, someone agrees with me. Father Mayhem says, nah, he's an inclusive leader. Consideration doesn't equal being a bad leader. So good stuff. And it looks like the Forbin Project is a movie. So let's check it out. And I think we're running out of time here on today's Bitcoin Talk Show. We started a little bit early, and we took a couple of calls, so it wasn't total loss. Looks like somebody's going to come to my Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup. That's pretty cool. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of Bitcoin Talk Show. People are having great time in the chat still. We're trying to keep up with that. But we need more calls if we're going to keep the show on the air. Otherwise, did a little Bitcoin news, talked about the price being up at $7,021 at the last check. We went around the world and checked out the mainstream media. They're all talking about the price. People are talking about the imminent collapse of capitalism. Let us know in the chat what you think. Do you think global warming is going to cause capitalism to change? Do you think that we don't even have capitalism? And let us know in the comments down below. Do you think central banks are now competition for Bitcoin? Do you think the price is going up or down? And of course, the mainstream media was all about the price, the price, the price, and the price. We had the price, right? But we'll be back again tomorrow morning for another episode of Bitcoin Talk Show. Until next time, bye-bye.